Why the real estate commission model is breaking. Is the way agents get paid actually the reason so many struggle to make a consistent income?
Welcome to the Open Books Podcast, where we discuss all things real estate, helping you take the road less traveled to real estate success. I'm your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside Casey Tuter. Good morning, everybody. Please like, comment, and don't forget to hit the bell, subscribe, bell for notifications. Do all the good, fun things to help us out.
Yeah. I think about all the videos that I watch and I really like, and I don't like it.
I know.
Subscribe. I'm like, man, I'm kind of a jerk.
Well, and then you always see the creators that are like, you guys, like, I was looking at my numbers and it's crazy how I had, 1 million people, 1 million unique viewers, but only, 50% are subscribed. So if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe.
Right. Exactly. Right? Please.
I think that the bigger thing though is the watching,
Oh, sure.
The
most important thing is that they take something away from these episodes.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. That we're making a difference in their education of real estate. Absolutely. Well, today, I think we can for sure accomplish that goal. If you guys tune in, this is something that I could probably have I could probably do a whole seminar series on this, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I could talk a long time about it.
Okay.
And you guys know I'm long-winded, so that says a lot. Okay. But today we're going to talk about the commission industry for real estate, the models that are out there, but a few things about the model and the impact it has on agents. So first, we're going to talk about how the model actually creates income volatility, and in some cases, I personally believe it creates some of the burnout and failure that we see and talk about so much. And I also think that it creates it gives into the unprofessionalism that a lot of the public sees with a bunch of agents because of how it's set up. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to go through an example of how two agents who do the exact same production and come and walk away with completely different incomes. We're going to see why that is, how that's possible. And I'll tell you right now, it's not because one of them is on a transaction fee and the other one is on some sort of 70% no cap. Right, it's not the
no
reason.
cap.
Although that would be a contributing factor. There's even more to it than that when you think of it from a business perspective. And then why are agents so resistant to changing the model? And we'll get into it, but a lot of it is because of this fantasy or this idea or this thought that like they have to bring home as much of that pie as possible on every transaction, and then they don't realize that they're just creating themselves they're putting themselves in a transactional experience as opposed to what business owners do is leverage that transaction.
Yeah, I like this because it's something that I'm really just now 10 years in real estate coming around to. Obviously I've been in a rev share model for 10 years, but the way you think about it and the way you think about money in general is kind of where I'm at. And I saw a statistic the other day that it was like 73% of all goods or like luxury items are bought by people that are in poverty. Because
73%?
Yeah, and it makes sense because when you're poor, you're chasing things to make you feel better more often. So you're wanting that nice car. And this goes to, and not just people in poverty, but this goes to what we're getting into are single agents that are making their own commission checks and they're trying to make as much money as possible. And they're out driving really nice cars. They might have a nice house, but then at the end of the day, what do they have left?
Well, and even if we don't talk about it from a revenue share perspective, which is really how you are going to maximize your income. But I know people that don't do that, and they still have very lucrative real estate business models, and the difference is in their mindset of how they view money.
Exactly.
And if you are somebody who has to try to keep as much of the pie as possible, and you're looking for the best and highest split, I think that if you want to be a producer, and like that's what you want to do, that's how you want to maximize your business, then yes, you should find a model that will allow you to keep more of your money, but that also has some value that comes with it. Because what I see with most agents, even if they sell at a very, very high level in a transaction fee type of system with a small cap, is then they now don't know how to let go of some of that money to invest in their business. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. The difference between how they view money is they go sell a transaction, they're expecting 95% of it to come back to them. Well, that 95% is now in their bank account. It's theirs. They want to use that for what they want to use it for, as opposed to saying, you know what? I need to not be on a 95% split. I need to probably take 20% of that every single time and set a budget to invest in systems, invest in an assistant, invest in things that are going to free you up to do more business. And I think that there's also a fear factor at play of like, well, if I do that, I'm going to lose that income. And what if I don't go sell more homes? And which I think is the complete opposite mindset you should have, because
Right.
you're betting on yourself. Are you going to get up and go do the work, or are you going to hire it out and just stop doing the work and not try to do more?
I think most people know they're not going to do it.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And so I think that once you make the choice to go hire somebody to take over whatever task that you're having them take over, that is when you have to double down on the money-making activities that
Right.
helped you get there to begin with. And I think a lot of people know what that effort looks like as well, and they also don't. They're like, I'm not ready to commit to that or something.
Yeah, I was talking to Brooke about this the other day, and it's the same as like an artist or a musician, and guitar players are probably the worst at this. And there's a reason, because the guitar is laid out a little bit differently. But people refuse to learn and invest in the fundamentals of the business, like lead conversion and sitting in like prospecting.
Yeah.
So they're always looking for another way to get around that part. But that was the single most important thing, was to learn the fundamentals of music, and then you can make all the music you want. But you kind of cheat your way into stuff, and people can make a career off of working around it.
For sure.
But then when things get tough, like they did in 2021 and then 2024, or whenever 2024, when the NAR stuff came out, they all quit because they didn't have the fundamentals.
Yeah. I would like to talk about why the commission model, why that contributes to, failure, but also more importantly, why it contributes to unprofessional agents in our industry. And if one of the things I've been thinking about lately is we get new brokerages that pop up all over. I mean, obviously we operate in multiple states, and so we see and hear about competition and other brokerages all the time, not just in our main area. I mean, they're popping up everywhere, Texas and Florida and everywhere else that we're looking at going. We see all these brokerages, and agents are looked at as part of our value is in our ability to negotiate, right? I need to be able to negotiate my value as an agent to my customer.
Yep.
But what's happening with brokerages and people who are leading brokerages is they don't know how to negotiate value for their own brokerage.
And then that's the broker that's leading you through your negotiations.
That's exactly
your
right.
sellers.
But nobody looks at it that
They
way,
don't.
because all they see is a dollar
Is the
sign
percentage, yeah.
and the percentage and the split. And so what's happening and what's happened over the years is you have people who are like, man, why am I giving all this money away to my broker? In some cases, it's too much. It's too much money for sure. But what are you getting out of that is what I think people don't take into consideration at times. And then they're like, I'm going to get my broker's license. I'm going to start my brokerage
and do the same thing.
Well, but I'm going to make it so that the agent makes more money.
I was gonna
right?
say that, like, I feel like every time a new brokerage comes out, the cap and the percentage is just a little bit less.
A little bit less
every time.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's that way because they're in this agent mindset of like, okay, I don't like paying my broker dollars, right? And so I'm going to start a brokerage and make it to where nobody wants to leave me because I'm going to make it to where they have the lowest cap or the highest split. And so they're like, instead of a $10,000 cap, I'm going to go do a $9,000 cap. And then the next brokerage comes up, well, I'm going to do a $7,500 cap. Now we have brokerages that do a $5,000 cap. It's just getting lower and lower. And what they're not realizing is, well, you realize there's somebody that's going to be dumb enough to do a $2,000 cap or something, right? And if you recruited your whole roster with money as the leading value, then that person will leave you for money because you didn't bring anybody in for value.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think about all the time, especially when it comes to quality over quantity. A lot of brokers will say we want quality, but when you look at their commission model, it's based on, no, you need quantity to be successful. And so you're going to either charge monthly fees or you're going to need more and more people to do transactions. And so it's all about the head count, right? And so now you've created this environment where it's all about the head count and you bring anybody and everybody in. Well, not everybody that gets a real estate license should be at your brokerage. And that's where the unprofessionalism I'm talking about comes in, because now you're just accepting anybody with a license.
Yeah.
And you're not really turning people away because you need those numbers for your monthly fees or for your transactions and stuff like that. Even if they just do one or two a year, it doesn't matter. You need the transactions. And so they don't know how to sell. People don't know how to sell value.
Yeah.
And because they don't know how to sell value, the agents don't know how to sell value. And so now it becomes just about money, 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 money. The sellers are thinking about money. They want the lowest split, but yet they want to somehow get an agent that's has value, but they want to pay the low split. But they're going to find an agent that's willing to do it for a low split because they're at a brokerage that allowed them to be in the industry to begin with. And then here you go. You got this industry where 75% of agents don't have resources for training and mentorship and coaching, and 75% fail the first year. 90% are out of it within the first 5. And the general public, if those are the numbers, do they have a better chance of working with somebody who is an awesome, high-value professional, or somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, but yet you're paying them thousands of dollars to advise you on something they don't know anything about? Who are they going to pick?
Well, the hard part is they don't care. Like, they just want the cheapest agent they can find.
They don't care until they're in it.
And then they wonder what's going on.
And then they care. And then they're thinking, then they think agents are stupid. Yeah. Why do we pay? Like, we don't need agents. And let's continue to attack the industry and their commissions.
I've literally, this is for the sellers out there, well, and for agents too, to listen to this story. It's like, I've recently sat down with someone who I picked up their listing after 6 months. And they told me the agent didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't communicate, they never brought him a buyer, all the things that you would expect to hear from someone who didn't sell their house. And I said, well, let's talk about that. So we went over all the data. Well, look, man, these houses in here actually were listed 3 different times before they sold. So all the numbers that you've been given weren't accurate. And we'd go through all that, how many price drops, how much commission they paid, or how many concessions they gave to that buyer. And we went over all this stuff. And they're like, man, our agent didn't go over any of this stuff with us. And so then we start talking about what to price it at. And they go, as soon as we got to the price, they go, yeah, but our house is better than these others.
Yeah.
So they immediately disregarded everything that I told them.
You gave all this value. You're an awesome agent. You really know what you're doing until we disagree on the price.
Yep. And then so it was just so frustrating because no matter what, they want their narrative to work.
Right.
So what I always lean back on is like, hey, we went over this. Like, we talked about this. This is exactly what I said could happen.
Yeah.
You listed at 420. We should have listed at 4.
Yeah.
And now we're at 4 or 5, and we're still $5,000 away. And it was funny at the very end of the conversation. The client said, "So let me get this straight. You're saying it's up to me on how long I bleed out." And I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, that's the first person that's ever said that. And it's like, you were listening, but you don't want to admit it yet, which is why we still started $20,000 too high. But at least I protected myself, and I've been wrong before.
Oh yeah, I've been wrong.
That one buyer could come into the market, and I tell them that, like, I've been wrong. That one buyer could come into the market at the right time
and give you the price you want.
But man, and then he said something like, "Well, I mean, my holding costs are only $2,500 a month." I'm like, "What do you do for a living?"
It doesn't matter.
Where 90% of that's going to interest, and you don't care.
Yeah. And then $2,500 a month, you're talking about a $20,000 price difference. You're 4 or 5 months in, you're already 50% already there, and you could have already had it sold. And we
talked about that too. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, people just don't do math, and the same thing is true for agents. They don't do
brokers,
math.
They just give it away, right?
Brokers just give it away, but they don't, and then they can't provide any resources that actually will help agents sell more homes.
Yeah.
Or do leads or whatever it is that agents are going to need to be successful. And so back to the math. The math drives me nuts. I'm just a numbers math geek when it comes to looking at commission models and things like that. And so even when we're talking about revenue share and leverage and building your commission and your business in that way, again, you don't have to, because again, we have people that set up teams and they've kind of built their own leveraged revenue share in a way to where they are making tons of income. It's just a little more limited, but that's okay because they want to produce in their local area. I was talking to somebody that was in a revenue share model, and revenue share models are not built the same. Most revenue share models are crap.
Yeah.
And I think that the people who have been in them for a really long time that don't ever build anything of substantial, value, that's what they get burned out because they're not getting paid enough for the effort it takes to not only build it, but to sustain it and to help people produce more. Mm-hmm. They're working they have to work so. You'd be better off producing and getting a higher split or whatever than in some of these revenue share models. The only people that are benefiting in most of them are the people that have tons of agents and have unlocked every single tier in their system. They're going to tell you, yeah, no, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because they don't have to produce anymore. They don't care about their split. And I'll tell you right now, your managing broker or if it's your broker owner or whatever, they don't care about their split either. Because they just care about you doing transactions and collecting a certain split. But my point about revenue shares, I had a very interesting conversation with a group. And this team lead had over 100 agents on their team. Okay. And they don't like to be honest about the revenue share that they're making, especially if there's other team members on there, because they don't want to admit how much they're making on the size of their team, because that's going to discourage anyone who's trying to build a team right out of the gate. And what I like to look at is what is the average dollar per agent on your downline that you bring in.
Right.
Most revenue share models are going to be somewhere between $500 and maybe $800 if you're lucky. Okay, and where people fail to do the math is in this brokerage, they have two different models similar to what we do. Is like you can choose to either be a producing production agent, or you could participate in the revenue share. Okay, now the people who are producing agents, they can still get some revenue share. It's not, their split is a little bit better, right? And so their caps though are $5,000. And so talking to this agent, and I was sharing our model, and I was showing them that you can make up to $2,000 per agent on average per year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot, because you're going to get some people that don't do very much, like kind of what we're talking about. But if you focus on quality, that number is just going to skyrocket. But her response was, if I were to switch to something like to what you guys have, and my people want their $5,000 cap, I'm going to lose those people. She was so worried about the number of agents that she had that she was going to lose,
Right.
that she was failing to see the math right in front of her. So on a $5,000 cap in a revenue share model, do you know how much money an agent would make per year off of an agent if they would have to hit that cap?
Yeah.
How much do you think they make per year? Just take a guess, because remember, only 5,000 is getting paid in.
Yeah.
So
Like
how much?
$500?
Just under that, like 300 and something, 350, 360. Okay.
And think about all the questions.
Think about all the questions. That's my point. Like,
oh man,
but
well,
they
yeah,
don't. But
'cause-
they don't take on the responsibility and like how we teach it. Right.
Yeah.
It's to them. It's just a number. If you produce, I'm going to make something. You're not on my team. You're on my downline. If you I'll try to provide value in some ways to help you produce more, but they're not helping them write contracts. I mean, they're not going to pick up the phone and do all that, because for $300 a year, it's not worth it.
Yeah, dude. People don't understand that training a team is harder than selling houses.
It's much harder,
and that's okay. But like the point here is you've got to get paid, or it's not worth your time, dude.
Hold on. For every 8 agents that they had, all you would need is one agent in our model to make up the difference, because 8 times 300 is 2,400, and when you take the one, if they're a capping agent with us, then that's about how much you're going to make per year. And so out of her, let's just say 100 people, okay, 1 divided by 8 is 12.5%. Multiply that by 100. In order to make the same income in our model, with having 100 people in these other revenue share companies, you need 12 to 13 people. And you know what I did? I found an agent on our roster that had 13 people, and I sent her a screenshot of her tracks.
Nice, dude.
And they won't send their revenue share to us.
No, they never have.
They say, well, our company doesn't allow us to.
Okay, so
I
you
wonder
want
why.
me to blindly come into your system then?
Right.
No.
Yeah, because they were trying to
That's what I
sell
always
us.
tell people during recruiting appointments. It's like if someone won't show you their numbers, you can't trust them.
You can't. And they always blame the company. The company doesn't allow us to show our internal system. Okay, well, then don't show me the internal system, but some screenshot or something that shows your number.
Yeah.
Right? How much revenue share did you make off of 115 people or whatever it was? So I was like, I'll send you a screenshot right now. I can't give you access. You're correct. Yeah. But I can, or a name to go along with it, but I can show you an agent, say, hey, this is how big their team is. And it was 13 agents, and their revenue share was about $25,000. That's just under $2,000 per agent per year, right? And 9 out of the 13 produced. $25,000 was the revenue share. And for somebody that was with 100 people on their team, they were probably making $40,000 to $50,000 a year on revenue share. And they still were like stubborn on no, I gotta have like all these people that I have. Like there's so much more. They have so much more value in their number of people on their downline than the actual amount of effort versus income that's bringing. It's crazy to me, Casey. It's crazy to me that people just won't sit down and actually do the math, because they're gonna be the first ones to burn out.
Yeah.
If they don't.
Do you think that number? You know how they're saying 71 or 75% of agents didn't sell a house last year. Do you think that number is going to go up and be consistent?
Well, I can tell you right now that number's wrong.
Okay.
I've seen people run with it, and we heard that NAR thing that came out, that was like a made up thing. First of all, right? Like it wasn't actually from NAR. NAR came out and said that was not their chart.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, yeah, well, and so then, but then there were some big time influencers that were like, they came out and said, hey, we found out that this was not by NAR, but I didn't take the video down, because it's still like, when you look at the data, it holds true that for people who didn't sell a house, it's pretty close. And I actually did the math. I did the math for our major markets. Right. Last year, 70% was the number. This year, it actually went down, and it was like in the mid 50% of agents that didn't sell at least one house.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why? Well, and it's because so many people quit. We lost a large number of agents, so we have a smaller total, which means that the percentage was better percentage of people who actually sold a house. So this last year, when I say it's calendar year 25, it was in the mid 50s for the markets that we were in. But yeah, what was your question about it, though?
I don't remember.
Do you think? Oh, you think it's going to get worse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes with the shift in the market. I think that as more agents come in, then yes, it'll get worse and worse. Yeah. And then when agents drop, it'll look a little bit better. But it's not going to get better because of how our model how the model is set up.
Well, and I think the way that the industry is continually changing, I think that now we're in for a roller coaster for forever.
Yeah.
With lawsuits and just new forms and whatever. So I think, which is a good thing for us, because the way that we've set our brokerage up and the way that we do our training and how we stay on top of those things, and we don't just offer a $2,000 cap and then say good luck.
Yeah, we sell value.
Yeah, because like even if you're going to hear this over and over that the old way of doing real estate is dead. And what they mean by that is you can't just give a split and then say, welcome to the office and pick up the phone. Although that is how it works.
Yeah.
You do just pick up the phone and it works, but you have to be on top of it with the tech and everything else that it's going to take to be a good realtor.
But because these brokerages are not getting paid enough,
they can't.
They'll try to offer what they can. But then when agents struggle and you really need to pour into them, they're not going to have the motivation to do it. They're going to be so content and comfortable having just brought people in and getting producers to produce on their own, that when things change, to put that kind of effort in, I think not everybody, but there's going to be a lot of people that it's sink or swim, buddy. Like good luck. Yeah. And that's the mentality.
Man, and I really... This is kind of a different conversation, really, but yesterday I got really frustrated because I wanted to do an open house in a different area that I didn't have any listings in. So I called. Of course, now we know that Keller Williams is out, right? So you can't sit at Keller Williams open house if you're not with them.
Yeah, so they actually come out and said that, right?
Yeah, and we've got agents. Now I've got an agent over here from Keller Williams because of something like that.
Yeah.
So there's divide. And then I called another agent with a different company and I asked him, I said, hey man, I tell him, dude, like my Deer Creek listings are kind of drying up a little bit. I'm not getting much activity. He's like, well, yeah, no one's getting activity on open houses. And I was like, well, I was curious to know if I could sit yours. And he goes, no, you can't. And I was like, okay, well, how come? And he's just very blunt. He's like, because you don't know anything about this neighborhood. It was a prestigious neighborhood. And I was like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
I was like, I've sold a house in there before.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you still can't sit. If they don't, open houses don't work. Bye. And I was like, wow, this is how people are treating their associates.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate it. Like I was so
crazy.
irritated because I had several conversations very similar to that. And these luxury listing agents, man, they are so scared you're going to take their business from them.
Oh yeah.
And they are,
but they won't go do the work to go get some of the buyers.
Right.
You know?
And he's just like, we just let the buyers come to us through traditional showings. And it's just the reason I kind of brought that up is like, man, we need unity, and agents coming into this business, you need to be in a system that is not from the scarcity mindset.
No. And also that, like, man, if someone from another brokerage, and everyone has different feelings about it, like I want to give back because everyone needs help at some point. And if they need a open house to sit, if our agents aren't willing to do it and someone from another brokerage is, then let them sit the open house and try to get business.
It's really about your sellers too.
Yeah, because they might sell the house. Chances are they probably won't, but then you're like, I don't want you to get these buyers to take the business that came from my listing, but you weren't doing it anyways. You weren't going to get that buyer because you weren't going to sit in open house. So why do you want to hurt someone else because you're not willing to do the work? Like help someone get their, like, there's enough business to go around. And if someone is willing to go to work, and it gives you more exposure because now someone's advertising an open house, more traffic is coming through. It makes you look good to your seller. Now, granted, I do understand, like, you know, you got if you get someone that comes in, they're unprofessional and
there's risk.
That's scary for sure.
Yeah.
And so I would be like, you know, if somebody was unprofessional and like no showed, then I will never let them sit in open house ever again.
Right.
So if you're going to sit in open house on someone else's listing, you better realize that you are representing that person and those sellers
and the seller.
And you cannot no show or get if you get sick. Like,
do it anyway.
You better get in there anyways. I mean, it depends on how sick you get for sure. But I mean, you get what I'm saying. Don't call in. Don't get
most
lazy.
People do
like,
it right before. Oh, I can't make
right.
It's like
and
you didn't know that like 2 a.m.
or last night. Like, and we could have had all morning to try to find someone to try to cover, and let my seller know, hey, that person got sick. We're gonna have to cancel. We can put a sign on the door too. Or
if you're sick, you get the replacement. Don't make the listing agent do it. They did you a favor.
Right. I mean, but that's
the difference in mindset.
That's the mentality of our industry. It's that's the quality of the individual that comes in and gets their real estate license.
Yeah.
And we're just willing to accept it. Let's go to the second part real quick, where there's two different agents. They're doing the same production, but they're making totally different incomes. And I like to compare an agent that doesn't have to pay anything if they were to find a brokerage that doesn't have to pay anything into their brokerage. That's what everyone's looking for. Like,
right.
I want you to give me everything, and I don't want to pay anything.
Yeah.
So let's say a broker said, sure, I have a model for you.
Yeah.
Here's 100% commission. Doesn't exist, but we're getting pretty dang close.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do the average price point is $300,000. Okay. And let's say they get the full 3%, right? Multiply that by how many transactions are we going to do a year?
Like as a producer?
This is a producer. We're going to compare the two different agents that do the same level of production.
Okay, let's do 50.
50 transactions?
Yeah.
Okay. So 300,000 times 50, that's $15 million in volume.
Yep.
Okay. If you're going to get the full 3% on that, that's $450,000. Okay. You don't got to pay anything into the brokerage. It's $450. Okay.
Nice.
So that's what you made. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're at a $5,000 cap, $445 versus $450, you might as well be at 100%.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you brought in $450,000 in production. Now, let's say you have somebody who's in a model like ours that does revenue share, and let's say that let's say they've been building their team for the last, let's go 5 years, right? Because that's kind of the trend of like, okay, people don't really last for 5 years, but if you build your team for 5 years, I mean, we have an agent now that has been building her team for 5 years and is over 100 agents. So let's look at her and say that let's just say she has 100 agents even, for simple math.
Okay.
We ran the numbers in our awards thing to figure out what's the average number of sales per active agent in our marketplaces, right? And it was between 4 and 5. So it's always between 4 and 6. But let's say like the average was, the lowest was 4.5. The highest was like 5.2. So let's just go right at 5. Okay. So if this person doesn't even have a cap, okay, they're on an 80% split with no cap. Okay. So then they're making $360,000, right? So just comparing production, you're like, well, who in their right mind would give up $90,000 of their production to be in an 80% split versus 100% split?
Yeah, it's a whole nother income.
You're an idiot if you do that, right? Well,
Right.
let me show you what this person is going to be bringing in with their 100 agents, okay? So I'm going to use the same $300,000 average, okay? 300,000 times 5 transactions, okay? So that's 1.5 million in volume per agent. Multiply that by 3%. That's $45,000 in gross commissions for each agent. If there's 100 agents, okay, then that's a total of $4.5 million in commissions, okay? Majority of that goes to the producing agents. And okay, so how much revenue share you make depends on the revenue share system that you're in.
Right.
Here in our system, we got people that are roughly averaging right now 7 to 10% per deal. However, long term, it's for us. I still think it's going to go down. It's going to slowly decrease to 5% as your people produce more. Okay, so if we multiply that by 5%, because in ours you can make up to 27% of the gross, right? Which that's really helps your averages. So that is a revenue share of $225,000. Okay, add that to the 360. That's $585,000 compared to 450. So now, if I take 585,000 divided by 450, this agent is on a 130% split versus the agent that's on a 100% split because they decided to leverage and build a business. Total big difference. Now, let's look at, even if you were at like a company that you get less revenue share, but you have a cap, but
you're still relying on producing.
You have no matter what. You have to produce because on those 100 agents, you're probably making I would say I'm going to try to be very generous and say $50,000. You make on 100 agents and other revenue share companies, you're going to make about $50,000 a year. And if anyone out there is in these revenue share companies and wants to challenge me on that, please do
set up a call.
Set up a call and show me your numbers that I'm.
Show me the money, Jerry.
Yeah, show me that it's not true because I have yet to find a single person be willing to show me with a large team like that what they're actually making on revenue share. It's all about.
If you can't show it, you're hiding it.
Correct.
It's not complicated.
Nope. Okay, and so we'll say $50,000 to be generous. And they are making $450,000. Let's say they're on a $12,000 cap, which I think some of these revenue share companies would be. That's pretty fair. That's $438,000. So you can say, well, I need that cap. You guys, not having a cap is crazy. Well, now you're making $488,000. So you're still making more than the 100% person, but you're nowhere near what you're making.
Well, the question is, do you want to, it's the same thing as like your personal split. Like, why do you care if you cap or not? Why do you want a cap? Because if you cap, that's fine. And then you get to make more money personally, but then you can't make more money from your team, which means you're capped on them. If you're going to leverage people, why would you want that to be capped?
And that's the point, right? Now, but give people the option to cap if that's what they want. Because I know there are people out here that be like, oh, no, I never would I give up a cap, ever. And I can't believe you guys would even consider it. Go ask your owner, hey, do you hit your cap every year?
Yeah.
Do you care about your split and your cap? They're going to tell you no. And if you think you're like tired of paying money into your brokerage and you're going to go start a brokerage, guess what? Your cap just became irrelevant because all of the business expenses that you now have to cough up for this brokerage, you just now spent all of it to try to build your brokerage. And the only way to help with that is to go get producing agents.
Yeah, exactly. I think people have to figure out first what they really want and then what it's going to take, because there's no right or wrong way. Like, I think a lot of people get in real estate because they want to be rich.
Yeah.
Well, some of them don't get past the thought that like you can't do it by yourself. Now, can you make a good income by yourself? Sure. And if that's what you want, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like you can't try to get rich and by doing it by yourself and then taking from everyone else but not giving back in any way.
Yeah.
You've got to leverage yourself. So you have to learn that first. Like if you want to run no big business has ever done it by themselves.
No one's ever built wealth without leveraging something.
Right.
Their time, their resources, the people, you got to leverage something. And so Otherwise, you're in this transactional experience where you're going to get burned out. And there's a huge burnout factor in sales, not just real estate sales, sales in general. But a lot of people think that won't happen to me. But once it does, you're not, you let it happen, right? There's no going back in time to be like, oh, shoot,
Yeah.
Once you get burnout, people have gotten through it. We've gotten through it. But boy, you have to have a certain mindset to get through burnout, because the number of people that quit in real estate, they're even higher percentage are going to quit when they hit burnout or do something different. And so you really have got to protect yourself in that regard. But I can't remember I was going with that. What were you talking about right before that? What was the last thing you said?
Well, I was just talking about leveraging.
Yeah.
Or having
I know what I was going to say. Yeah. Leverage somehow. And if that means producing at a high level, getting a high split and a low cap, that's fine. Make sure you take the income and leverage it in the stock market.
Yeah,
and go buy real estate. Go start another. We have a guy that started another business, and that's kind of what they did to leverage their team, right? You gotta do, if you want to build wealth, you got to do something. If you're just doing transactions to transactions, then that's fine, but you'll be stuck in this cycle. And I desperately want people to get out of that cycle and to take a chance on betting on themselves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anyways, I would love anybody to challenge me on their numbers. I don't think anyone's going to take me up on it though.
I can't. You can't.
Because they know I'm right. They know I'm right. I mean, because our agent who had 13 agents made $25,000. You got on there, they got 100 agents making $50,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy. 13 agents versus 100, 50,000 versus 20. I mean, that's 50% of what they're bringing in with 100 people.
Yeah. I think people too, they get weird about rev shares again because they don't understand the way the numbers work. But they go, well, why would I pay this guy this money and then pay the brokerage money on top of that? It's like, well, you have to understand that it's because the brokerage decided to split that that money that's coming into the company amongst the people that are training and recruiting. It's not like you're not paying extra on top of it.
Right. It's just they're taking their part of it to motivate people.
So if you're on a rev share model, cap or don't cap, doesn't matter. But if you're on a 60% split, if you're just at a regular company like Keller Williams, well, 40% is going to the broker.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're at a more advanced rev share model, you might give 10% to your mentor and then 30% to the brokerage. So it's coming from the top, not extra out of your pocket.
Right.
And but you're getting more help.
Yeah. You should be, but most of those models are not set up to motivate someone to help. They don't answer the phone.
If you're not paying in, you're not going to get help.
Yeah. 100%.
Why would you?
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind people out there, but at the end of the day, we're running a business and we're in this business to make money.
And they're not going to always drop everything just to help you when you need it. We've gotten people all the time that come in here like, I'm getting no support, no help. You come to the right place.
Yeah.
By the way, here's your split. Oh, no, I can't do that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well then go back to selling
my
zero.
dad was in graphic design for a long time, and he would do the same thing where someone would come to him and, oh yeah, man, we really need a brand refresh. It's just kind of like it's like year 2000 2010. They haven't done anything since the 80s.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that'll be X amount to rebrand, and they're like, we'll just keep our old. It's like, you literally came in here because you feel like your brand is dying,
and that you're not getting customers because of it, and like you could get more customers. It doesn't make sense, man. But I think we're out of time.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't quite get into the why agents resist change. I mean, a quick comment on that though is, we kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
It's just it's mindset. I mean, they just won't accept the fact that you got to spend money to make money. You got to give back to receive.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of that story of there's a flood happening, and all of a sudden a boat comes by and the guy's like, no, man, God's going to take care of me. Like, you go save someone else. And I can't remember. There's like a couple other people that come by, and then a helicopter comes by.
Yeah.
And then he dies, and he's like, dude, you didn't save me.
He goes to heaven, and then he's like, God, why didn't you save me?
He's like, well, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter, all this stuff, and it's kind of the same thing.
Same
It's like,
concept,
dude, we gave you all the tools, but you didn't want them because all you did was care about your cap. And now you're out of the business.
Yep.
So congrats.
Yeah. Good job.
So if you want to stay in the business, give us a call.
Yeah. And think about it from a very logical, think about it from a long-term play, not a transactional play. If you're all about the next transaction, then maybe this is not a career for you, or it's just a side hustle, and that's okay. If it's a side hustle, own it. That's what it is. And then, go, let's maximize that. But if you're in this for a career, then let's think about it from a long-term perspective.
Right. Okay. Well, as we come to an end, just want to thank you guys for listening and watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, click the bell for future notifications. We are signing off. This is the Open Books Podcast, and this is Curtis Haddock and Casey Tuter. Thanks, guys. See ya.